Appreciate the opportunity to be here. What I want to talk about today, actually, this is going to be a real high-level overview because we've got 4 different Friends of Reservoirs partners here involved on 3 different reservoirs: Lake Conroe, Lake Livingston, Lake Houston. And the partners we're going to talk about, and we've got representatives of 2 of those here today, the Seven Coast Bass Club, and I don't think they have any members here, the Piney Wood Lakes chapter of the Texas Master Naturalists. We have some members, TPWD, we have a member, and then the Lake Houston Sports and Recreation Foundation. Just to talk for a minute about the Lake Conroe project. Lake Conroe, we've been doing habitat work there for a long time. We've been working with different constituents, partly TPWD, partly bass clubs, doing native vegetation work from way back in 1996. So this is something we've been working on for a long time. The Seven Coast Bass Club was actually the first Friends of Reservoirs chapter back in 2010. And right off the bat, they did receive a grant, and this was a combination made from Bass Pro Shops and Toyota. And this was back in the good old days where it was a check, you got money, you put in the bank, and you went and spent it. So it wasn't complicated like some of the funding is now. But that was, like I said, so they've been around for a little while. They're the recipient of a number of conservation awards. On the left, that's from Texas Chapter AFS, gave this group a conservation award. In the middle, that's from our first Bulges angler meeting, where they got a reward. And on the right, that's actually the governor's Blue Ribbon Committee for Environmental Excellence that they received award with a large partnership. All this is done in partnership. A big part of this project is native vegetation restoration. Again, we've been working on this for years. It's really culminated. Now we've got an area that's 5 miles long that we've got native plants established in. Lake Conroe, obviously, is complicated because it has grass carp in there, has had for years, as well as other herbivores. So it's not an easy situation, but they've been a great partner working with us on this. They've actually built a nursery where they're growing their own plants, and we have planting several times a year. Better still, besides the fact that they're out there helping us plant, they've been great partners politically. This is an integrated pest management approach. We do have grass carp in here, and even though this is Seven Coast Bass Club and is actually a fishing club, they actually went to bat for us and stood with us even though grass carp were part of the integrated pest management for hydrilla control. And you can imagine that was not popular with the other angler groups. So they really stood by us and been a great partner. Also, besides the native vegetation, we've done a lot of structural habitat, spider blocks, brush piles, and actually created 4 what we're calling angling hotspots, each on Lake Conroe. Each one is an acre in size, kind of a radial spire kind of design, but a lot of structure out there to help as we try to get native vegetation to expand in the lake. Second group I want to discuss here, touch base on, is for Lake Livingston, Texas Black Bass Unlimited, who is a Friends of Reservoir affiliate, and then the Pinewood Lakes chapter of Texas Master Naturalists, which is a Friends of Reservoir chapter. 2 great partners working together for a Lake Livingston restoration project. Again, great cooperative effort. TPWD has a long history of habitat conservation in Texas, great angling organization. And the Master Naturalist chapter provides outstanding trained conservation volunteers. And this group in 2013 actually received a $20,000 grant from RFHP. So fantastic partnership. And many other partners involved. These are the 4 partners, but they have many partners involved. A couple of different elements here. Part of it is structural habitat. You see here this orange pipe, and it's really neat. This was pipe that was damaged when an 18-wheeler trailer flipped over, so it was donated. It's actually fire systems pipe that they're using to build these fire blocks. Great opportunity, really neat. And then also native vegetation. And again, this group actually is building their own nurseries, growing their own plants, and doing this largely in conjunction with school groups. Actually have the nursery boxes at schools, have the ag and other departments in the schools growing the plants and capable of producing thousands and thousands of plants a year. We actually have had planting now. Got, well, I think 350 plants out into the water. So we're going there at Lake Livingston. Lake Livingston is turbid, so we're primarily using emergent plants that could get a leaf up to the sunlight. But again, the project's going. It's a 90,000 acre lake. It's going to take time, but we are making a start with these groups. The last group I want to touch base on is the Lake Houston Sports and Recreation Foundation. Another really neat group. All of these Friends of Reservoir groups are different. They all have their own talents, they all have their own makeup, and there's great partners every one, but all of them different. This one is really diverse. They have people, some of them anglers, some of them hunters, some of them other type of recreators, but all of them care about Lake Houston. We have realtors, we have business people, we have politicians, all coming together to work on this. They're heavily invested in the community. Besides doing work for conservation on the lake, they raise money for cancer research, they raise money to help other people. They're just a very, very active, very diverse group. And outstanding fundraisers. They do golf tournaments, they do fishing tournaments, skeet shoots. They've even got this thing where they're putting together a presentation to give at a bar in downtown Houston. And the best presentation at the bar gets a cut of the proceeds from the bar for the next month. Now, anybody that can raise money in a bar, I mean, they have their talent for sure. And again, multiple projects associated with the lake. A couple of the primary ones. First of all, Florida largemouth bass stocking. They raised money to buy 10,000 advanced-sized Florida largemouth bass to stock into the lake. And we worked with them to get those out into the lake. You can see very family-oriented, everybody there loading up the fish. And then secondarily are also the native vegetation restoration. Again, they've got their own nursery boxes, they're growing their own plants. And we went out with them this past week and got about 180 plants in the water. So again, turbid lake, primarily emergent plants, but they are growing the plants and we are getting them out into the water. Something else really neat, over here on the left, this group picture. The gentleman on the far left owns the property on the lake. He does adaptive aquatics, aquatic recreation for folks with physical challenges. And he has this property and we're growing the plants on his surface. The guy there in the purple jacket, that is a state representative. And that's not something you get every day. I mean, that's really important, the diversity in this group. That's really all I've got.